Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome, 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 welcome. Yat bene. Shik eshto shinene. Torich eatni and schleg slash chi bashishin and since a kani dashiche that touchini shanoli. Andrea Hanley and Shia. Mine on behalf of the Southwestern Association for Indian Arts Board of Directors. It's my honor to welcome you to both Indian Market and the program Native Narratives and Nibbles. My name is Andrea Hanley, and I'm a citizen of the Navajo Nation. I was raised in both Window Rock and Saley, Arizona. I'm an arts administrator, and my 30-plus year career has been dedicated to the work of contemporary Native American artists and the Native American fine art field. I'm currently the director of programs for the Native Arts and Cultures Foundation based in Portland, Oregon, and I'm based in Arizona. First of all, I want to thank you for joining us today. Our guests, our community members, our artists, our filmmakers, storytellers, and our creatives. Your presence here speaks volumes about the value we place on Indigenous voices and the spaces where they can be seen, heard, and celebrated. This event is a part of the Get Indigenous Film Festival, a multimedia component of the Santa Fe Indian Market, proudly sponsored by the Southwest Association for Indian Arts, SWIA, the Institute of American Indian Arts, IAIA, and the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture, MIAC. GiFF showcases dynamic works by Indigenous creators at the forefront of film and television. And we also want to express our deepest gratitude to our event sponsors. Your generous support makes gatherings like this possible, and your investment ensures that Native stories continue to reach audiences everywhere. Today, we have the privilege of engaging in conversations with remarkable Native change makers, people who shape the future of film and art. Using narrative sovereignty, they use their platforms to share our histories, our truths, and our visions for the future. Films told by us, made by us, help us to reclaim narratives that have too often been told without us. They inspire the next generation of Native creators, they challenge stereotypes, and they remind the world that our cultures are not only alive, they are thriving, evolving, and leading in creative innovation. So let's celebrate, let's be inspired by the stories we hear, the art we see, the conversations we share. Together, we continue to honor the mission of SWIA, to uplift Native voices, preserve cultural traditions, and champion the extraordinary creativity within our communities. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting this work. And please enjoy the program. Now I'd like to, I have the extreme honor of introducing Dr. Shelley Lowe, who is a citizen of the Navajo Nation and is from Ganado, Arizona. She was the past chair of the National Endowment for the Humanities, and now I'm so pleased to announce that she is the new president of the Institute of American Indian, IAIA. I'm so excited. I should be better at that, but here we go.
Thank you so much. Yate she shalilo yenishia bilgana nishle anastasia tachi nibashichi bilgana dashache do trabaja dashanale do kantier de nasha. As Andrea said, my name is Shelley Lowe. I'm Navajo. I grew up in Ganado, Arizona. I am president of the Institute for American Indian Arts, and I am so happy to welcome each and every one of you here today for our Native Narratives and Nibbles, our documentary filmmakers brunch. You will have the exciting opportunity to watch 6 films today, featuring 5 IAIA students and alums. So please do enjoy it. I hope you had the opportunity to come and watch the Jim Thorpe and the Leonard Peltier documentaries. The Leonard Peltier documentary was directed by an IAIA alum, Jesse Short Bull, and so we are so excited to see that work being shown and excited that it's being shown here at Indian Market this week. This is part of a 3-year partnership. It began with IAIA and SWIA, thanks in large part to the conversation begun by Chris Eyre. So Chris, I just want you to stand up and be acknowledged. And we want to thank MIAC, who joined us in the 2nd year and is now a partner in the GET Film Festival. So I also want to, while I'm here, acknowledge James Lujan. He can raise his hand. He is our cinematic arts teacher. Cinematic arts is the second most popular major at IAIA. So you're going to have the opportunity to see today the work that our students and our alum are doing. They are very excited to share their work. I want to acknowledge all our staff, the students and the faculty who are here from IAIA. And I also want to acknowledge Patsy from MoCNA, who is hosting us here this afternoon. So please enjoy the films, enjoy lunch first, and in a few minutes, more people will come up and talk, and the program will begin. And thank you and welcome.
Morning. Good morning, everyone. Miyam, Notong Dr. Jolie Proudfit, Yaka Lucenyo, and Tongva. Welcome to our special GiFF Filmmakers Brunch, hosted by SWIA as part of the 3rd annual Get Indigenous Film Festival. What an incredible few days we have had, and what perfect morning we're having to celebrate and to gather with our creative community. Over these past few days, we've witnessed the power of Indigenous storytelling unfold on screen, from emerging voices, from IAIA students, to First Peoples Fund short films, to senior filmmakers like none other than Chris Eyre, who directed the Jim Thorpe Path Lit by Lightning film. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, if you weren't able to attend one of the 2 screenings this weekend, you can see it on the History Channel. This morning, we have the privilege of sitting with the artists and subjects behind these remarkable films. This brunch isn't about simply great food and conversation. It's about connection and our community. It's about the relationships that fuel creativity, the collaborations that birth new stories, and the communities that sustain our work as Indigenous storytellers and artists. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your artistry. And thank you for keeping our stories alive through film. Let's enjoy this morning together. And it's now my distinct pleasure to introduce James Lujan, Department Chair of Cinematic Arts and Technology, and our moderator for today's program.
Hello, everybody. To get started, I'd first like to introduce the senior fellow and founder of the First Peoples Fund, Lori Pourier. Would you please come up? There's the steps back there. And Lori is going to tell us a bit about...
Oh, hi. Thank you.
Have a seat. She's going to tell us a little bit about the First Peoples Fund and why and how they made these documentaries that you saw last night.
Ampetu ashte mitakiapi makasi tomnio maniwi imachiapi Lori Arsichie Oglala Lakota, born and raised on the Pine Ridge Reservation. And I'm so grateful for the Institute of American Indian Arts for including us today, to James, to Chris, to Jolie, Jamie, and Patsy, who's upstairs, I've known and worked with for many, many years here at the museum. And I was actually hired when this museum opened to design the whole branding and marketing strategy. I won't tell you what year that is because that'll tell how long I've been around. So I don't know if they're still using our logo or what, but that was back in the day. So I'm grateful to be here. We showed 4 short films last night. First Peoples Fund has been on the road now since July of last year. And we honor and uplift and support culture bearers and tradition keepers of tribal communities. And these individuals are selflessly giving of themselves and community. Their work and love for community is why we honor them. They're nominated by someone from their community. And the award today, I think it started out as about $5,000 and it's $50,000 today. And we have 126 Community Spirit Award honorees and representing about 100 tribal communities. So we're grateful to have 4 of them here today. And you're going to love them. Bud Lane is back way over there. Come on, Bud. Bud you have to come up to the panel now.
Yeah, Bud, you're speaking today.
So Bud should know that. He's the vice chair of his tribe, but that's not how Bud came to us. We know Bud as a weaver, language rebuilder, reclaimer, restorer. Bud is a part of the Siletz tribe, and they're all weavers here with us today. I'm going to call Bud up here. There's steps on the back. And then we're going to call Lonnie Hotch from Klukwan in a small village way up north. She's Tlingit in Alaska. You have to go to Juneau. You have to catch a 3-hour ferry. And then you drive for 45 minutes. And then before you know it, you're almost in Yukon territory and across the Canadian border. But you take a sharp left and you go into a small village of 100 folks. And I'm from Pine Ridge, so when I go travel to Lonnie's, we stay a while. No, just kidding. And then her husband, Jones, is here with us also. He's sitting in the audience. He's part of the tribal council now, and they're doing some really critical, important work up there to protect the 5 species of salmon. And then I want to call my dear sister, Tanaba Natani, up here. And she's a Community Spirit Award honoree as well. Jennifer Easton, Community Spirit Award honoree. It's named after Jeffy, who was the founder of First Peoples Fund, and the only philanthropist to give all her money to First Peoples Fund, Chris Eyre with the Sundance Institute. So she was on the board there, and that's how Chris and I met some years ago before she even started funding Sundance. And then Kumu Vicky Holt Takamine was the other one, from Hawaii, and she's not with us today. She had a commitment in Hawaii as well. And then there's me, and we have a young man we're going to call up here.
Yes, we have another panelist we'd like to bring up. Jim Thorpe himself from Lit by Lightning, the actor, Duke Harris. Feel free to sprint up to the stage.
And Duke is also an artist. I learned from Chris this morning, said he's an exceptional artist. So you know him as a filmmaker, and hopefully he'll apply for the First Peoples Fund Artist and Business Leadership Program. Plamaya.
All right. So today I'm going to keep this informal, conversational, and later I'm going to ask all of you if you have any questions for our panelists. But I'll start with our First People Fund documentary subjects. Bud, we'll start with you. Have you been in a film before, or what was it like being in a documentary?
I've been in minor films that we've made with our tribe, but never one like this one. So it was a new experience, and having Lori and David come out to the Sluts Reservation and taking them out, showing them how we do things, some cultural events, was really a nice experience, and I was very pleased with what I saw last night. It was the first time I saw it, so it was a really nice piece of work, I thought.
Great. Lonnie, how about you? Have you been in a film before?
I've been in a couple short films as part of other larger films, but not a featured film just about me.
And how did that feel, having a documentary devoted solely to you and your work?
Well, I think in the film I mentioned how we don't, in our culture, we don't see ourselves so much as an individual. So I think it brings recognition and honor to my community of Cluck-One. So I'm not going to claim all that myself.
Right. And Taniba, how about you?
Yes, I have. This was my second film that I participated in. I participated in with a tribute to my work with the the National Endowment for the Arts. And this one was, to me, it seems like on a more personal level, because it also involved my dear matriarch, my dear teacher, my mentor, my mother, Sarah Natani.
Oh, yeah. One of our stars. There she is. Great. And Duke, I understand this was your first film as well.
Yes, this is my first anytime acting job, and I really want to say thank you to Chris. He really helped me out. He really, was an awesome mentor, awesome coach, and to me, this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Jim Thorpe, Sac and Fox from Oklahoma, and I'm also Sac and Fox from Oklahoma. So it's really truly an honor. I'm really thankful for this opportunity. Thankful to serve here with you fine people.
You did a great job. So, Lori, can I ask you how you went about choosing the subjects for your documentary? For the documentaries?
We first we produced an event in at the Kennedy Center for our 25th anniversary called "We the Peoples Before," and it was basically a story and a journey that took America across the four directions and to the stars and to the earth, and telling stories with spoken word artists, hip hop artists, musicians, and our tradition keepers, our culture bearers from tribal communities. And it was during that time we wanted to honor the legacy of the work that First Peoples Fund had started some 1995. And so we had, when we first came across Bud, Lonnie, and Tanaba, they didn't know at all who we were. I mean, I remember Bud even telling his wife, like, I don't know, they're bringing me to Minneapolis, and they're going to recognize me, and, he knew nothing about us. And now, some 10 years, 12 years later, since receiving the First Peoples Fund Community Spirit Award, Bud is on the board of directors. And so what we always say at First Peoples Fund is that our Community Spirit Award honorees, they ground us in community and culture, and reminding us who we are as Indigenous people, because they are the ones that are quietly doing the work in community, but they're also the ones that are on the front end of climate change and all the changes they're seeing in their community. So it felt important for me to start really with those individuals. And those individuals, Lonnie comes from a long, we have many different wonderful work we do at First Peoples Fund. And Lonnie had been, went from when we first honored her in her community, which would have been about 20, I don't remember the year, but we traveled up there to Klakwan. And then we continued to, she continued to weave through our other cultural arts programs. And now today she's, all of these, I guess I would say all of the artists, Natani, I'd say that they quietly do work in their community, and their home is their community, and their love for the community, and speaking the language in their community. And, you know, oftentimes, like Sarah, they're the last speakers, right? And Bud is the one who inspired others in his community. So they have many, many roles in community, and that's how we started there. And then we just came back. We're, you know, so we're out of the 100 and some tribes. We don't really have the budget to go to all of them, but we're telling 14 stories, and they're shorts. And I'll also recognize Chris Eyre because I don't really know anything about film. We're just storytellers. But I did have a household of my daughter and Chris who are filmmakers. So they have a critical eye and just like a wonderful view. I just really value their contributions to their critique, because we have a beautiful story. We just needed to learn how to put it on camera. And so it was wonderful to hear you say about this one felt different because it felt personal, because everybody a part of First Peoples Funds really is the family. So thank you.
Right, great. And Taniba, when Laurie called you and asked you to be a part of this this project, what do you feel was most important to get across about your art that you wanted to share with everybody?
I think that there's several important factors that's important. One of them is telling our story ourselves, and instead of having another person tell it for us, but the actual voice. And when Laurie contacted me, I felt like it was my duty. I have been honored as a culture bearer, and I like my sister Lonnie says, we, you know, as culture bearers, we don't really take that notoriety. I mean, we do our work because the love, it's purposeful for our life and our spirituality, a way of living. There's such a strong connection, a thread that connects us back to our ancestors, so we live with them. So with that, it's important to have preservation also with language. And I am proof of that, because about 28 years ago, I didn't know my language. Maybe I was 2%, 5% fluent, and now I'm about 85% fluent. So I still talk to my mom. I'm able, and so mom also advocates to the younger generation, learn your language, learn your culture. So in that way, when I got the call from Laurie, I felt like it was a duty. It's a very honorable duty to be a part of it, to be a part of the family. And sometimes we have to be reminded. We have to be reminded. I do. I sometimes think, I'm just doing my work, you know, I don't want too much exposure, you know. Yeah, but my loom is the one that is my exposure. Yeah.
Right. Great. And Lonnie, what was most important for you to share, particularly with, say, a non-native audience?
Well, I always feel an obligation to recognize my community and our culture. Yeah, I come from a long line of weavers, And my name, Santats in Tlingit, it means ancient threads, and that was my great-great-grandmother's name. And when I was a little child, everybody used to call me everybody's grandma. And I thought that's what my Tlingit name meant, everybody's grandma. But it was because she was the matriarch, and she was everybody's grandmother that I was named after. But anyway, I guess I wanted to convey the sense of community and the connection we have with the land where we live. I come from the Chilkat Valley, and I'm of the Chilkat Indian Village tribe. My husband here is the tribal vice president. And we're part of a family, we're part of a house group, we're part of a clan, we're part of the community, and we're part of the Tlingit Nation. So we don't really see ourselves as just, me, Lonnie Hotch. It's like I'm part of all these other groups, and I think I was at a gathering with First Peoples Fund, and they put out this questionnaire, like, what pronoun do you want to be recognized by? And I was like, I didn't know what that was about, because I live in a small village and remote, and so I put we. Because that's the way we look at ourselves, So that just kind of tells you what my frame of reference is.
Great, thanks. And Bud, what was most important for you to share about your art?
I guess, the end result of our work, all of our work, or any artist's work, traditional artists, is either a fine basket or other things that are made. And what goes into that is what's important to me to share. That knowledge of, say, we use hazel sticks for our warp and our basket, of when to get those. You get them in their second spring. You have to prepare, though. You burn the year before, they come up, then go dormant, and then in the second spring, before they bud out, there's a 30-day period you can get them, and they're strong because they've wintered over once. The overlay in our baskets, there's certain times when the sap's up. You know how in late summer or early fall you get up in the morning and you feel that cold air and you go, there's fall is coming. Well, the plants are already known that, and their sap's already dropping. So that doesn't disqualify using those plants, but it makes them more brittle and harder to work with. So there's all kinds of traditional knowledge that goes into just gathering for baskets. And also, areas are closed off to us nowadays. It used to be our land. And I go pretty freely where I want and gather. I respect landowners' rights, but anyway, I always say it's easier to get forgiven than it is to get permission. But those traditional things that have been handed down to us come to us from 10 and 20,000 years ago, handed down. And when I teach our young people, I teach them how to say our materials we're gathering in our words, in our language. I've always said that our language is the glue that holds our culture together, and I really believe that. And so getting across, it's a multifaceted thing. People look at the beautiful baskets, but there's so much more that goes into that. 10,000 years of knowledge and artistry. And I think that's the important thing for people to understand.
Thank you. Duke, so I know this is your first time as an actor, but what were you trying to convey through your performance that you hope audiences are taking away in terms of how they look at Thorpe?
I wanted to convey that, I wanted Jim Thorpe's story to be true and culturally appropriately represented. And no better way than having a tribal member of the Sac and Fox Nation portray Jim Thorpe. I hope that people see this documentary and take what Jim Thorpe really represented to Native American people and to all people, really. He is a beacon, I believe, for Native American people, for the youth coming up. I am the NAGPRO director at our Sac and Fox Nation in Oklahoma, so historical preservation is so important. And just being a part of this and everything tying in together with historical preservation, getting to portray a Native American icon and get to tell his story, giving his story true justice is what I'm really trying to say. I hope that people take that and really understand it, because people can look at Jim Thorpe and say, well, he cheated or whatever, but Jim Thorpe was a true person. And I hope that I just did his family justice. And I got to meet a few of his relatives, and it was really surreal just shaking their hand and them congratulating me, and just getting to be a part of that documentary was truly a dream come true. And being my first time doing the acting, that to me it was epic.
Great, thanks. So, Duke, you touched on cultural preservation, and Bud, you also talked about teaching the youth. So, I'll ask you, Bud, what do you see are the challenges of passing on your knowledge to today's youth and cultural preservation in general?
Well, even in my lifetime, things become hectic. I always call the iPhone the decline of Western civilization, but people are slaves to things like that. And when our people used to live in cycles, and there was a time for gathering one thing or another, when the fish would run, when it was time to kill deer or elk, time to gather camas. Those food sources don't care whether your child has a softball game or has stuff to do at school. In modern society, even in a town as remote as mine in Siletz, we don't even have a stoplight in town. Life can be hectic for young people, and there's lots of pressures. I guess the thing is, people need to stop and take stock of what is really important, and work with their children or get them to people like me and others in my community and tribe that can get them to live in those cycles. That's what I always love about basketry and other traditional arts. It makes you live in that ancient time frame that was laid down long ago by the Creator.
Right. And with your tribe in particular, Bud, you're in the process of trying to gain federal recognition again for your tribe? Our tribe was targeted for termination in 1954. The act was passed, and they suspended federal recognition to us. The Bureau pulled out, IHS. Our trustee virtually abandoned us, is what they did. And our people worked for 22 years to get restored, and we got a Restoration Act passed through Congress in 1977. Jimmy Carter signed the act, and if you know that, it'll age you. We know how old you are. And anyway, that occurred 46 years ago. So it caused some damage to our traditions and culture. A lot of people moved off to the Willamette Valley to look for work, and it changed us dramatically. But we've clawed that all back. We hold annual culture camps. Our dances are finally on again in the ceremonial cycle. And I'm very proud of what our people collectively have been able to do with the restoration of federal recognition back to us since then. Great. And Lonnie, what are those challenges for you in your tribe in terms of passing on art to the youth and cultural preservation?
Well, I think part of the challenge is you mentioned the iPhones and how people are just glued to those, and that was you, Bud. And we live in a world of instant information and instant food, fast food and microwaves and all that. And weaving, it takes a long time for me to weave a full-size robe. And it's not something that's done instantly. And so I think that's a barrier for a lot of the younger people, because they grew up with that, the computer age and the microwaves and the instant information. So that's a barrier, I think, with the younger people, because they don't have the patience to sit and learn and make mistakes and have to take something out that they spent hours and hours doing. So that's a challenge.
And Taniba, how about you? What do you see as those challenges for youth and cultural preservation?
Yeah, it's kind of a ditto with my two weaving colleagues here, what they said. The iPad, iPhone, electronic devices, getting our children's attention is difficult when you have those items around. And however, there's something also very, even though that's a challenge, those iPhones, iPads, filming videos, we need to use that platform to speak our stories and interweave them to our kids and find a way to do that. And we are, through the film, through these films, they're reaching our kids. And even maybe one of my clan relatives might be in Guam, let's say, in the island of Guam, and they see our film, one of the first people's film. Let's say they see my mom and I's film and they hear us speaking, then it's gonna help them plant that seed. That film is gonna plant a seed, and they're gonna know, hey, I need to go home. I need to start learning my language. My grandpa was a basket weaver, or we knew about plants. So those electronic devices are the ones that it's hard, but we have to find the way to use that advantageously. And one thing that I believe we have to be careful about is that AI, when it wants to try to recreate personalities or smiles in some of our ancestors, and it gets shown to us, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good.
Lori, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to the contributions here is that when we go out to the communities, Bud mentioned David. We really work with our team at First Peoples Fund and Chris and others on identifying filmmakers from that community, from that area, so that they're more comfortable in front of the camera as well. And then the other fun fact is that, which for us it's just the right thing to do, is that we said, if you want to speak in your language, you should do that. Because I'm of the generation where my mother didn't speak the language because of the boarding schools, and I've been like working hard 4 or 5 days a week now in class with the Red Cloud Indian School, Makpia Luta, and my teachers are younger than me, and we're just speaking Lakota 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, while a young woman named Sierra Banks, Dennis Banks' daughter, she is my teacher. And she came home and immersed in the language, and now she's getting her PhD in Hawaii, where Kumubiki's from. And so it's that generation also that's teaching us. And so that them having the opportunity to speak in their own language. And so that we figure, I traveled to Berlin recently, and Indigenous peoples were from around the world. And they're also, they're speaking their language, but they speak like 2-3 other settlers' language, right? And so I'm like, if folks should feel uncomfortable having to read the screen, because I think I just heard something about that, where Americans were actually saying, why are they in the Chief of Warriors, that with Jason Momoa is all I know, is they were offended that the whole film was shot in Native Hawaiians' indigenous language. And so we want people to feel uncomfortable. We want you to read that screen, because that's how hard it was for just Sarah's generation. And one of our Community Spirit Award honorees just told me, Lynette Tubles, Nally Tubles, her grandmother, her mother told her when it was Holy Rosary Mission, after Red Cloud, then Makapia Luta, told her, just go to the school, say everything the teacher says, because she wanted her to just, at 5 years old, learn that language. And so her grandmother, Nally Tubles, another one of our Community Spirit Award honorees, went to school, and she said everything the teacher said. And she, she had to kind of go, she went home, and because the teacher thought she was like repeating her to be on, purposefully. So we want you to read the language. We want you to hear our language, because we hear too often at First Peoples Fund that they're the memory of the one that came before them. And we all have aunties and uncles and relatives like that, right?
Yeah, so Duke, I just found out earlier, Duke, you told me that you're an IAIA alum.
I attended IAIA and I didn't graduate, so I'm not an alumni per se.
Well,
but I did get the opportunity to go to school at IAIA, and it was a culture shock, because I came from Oklahoma, and coming here to Santa Fe and seeing the surrounding pueblos, practice their culture, and I even got to attend some of their feasts, and it was a culture shock. It was something that really opened my eyes to like Native. They're living these ways that they used to live, thousands of years ago, and it was really beautiful to see and just amazing.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your art, what you
sure.
make?
Before I went to IAIA, I just did pencil and charcoal drawings, and I just did that all through IAIA. And I had met my wife here in Santa Fe, and she's from upstate New York. So, of course, I followed her up, and living in upstate New York for 14 years, I learned a lot about myself. I really fully engaged myself into art, and I started doing, acrylic and oil paintings, and wood carvings, and chainsaw carvings, and spray paint murals, and just being up there and being immersed in the Mohawk culture of Akwesasne. It was really a culture shock as well. So getting out and traveling and seeing all these things really opened my eyes. So with the documentary, the young people are going to see this. The older generation that didn't know too much about Jim Thorpe are going to see this, and it's just going to open up a brand new light for his life, and that's what I really appreciate. And me being an artist, I believe that Native American people are just their being is art. We're there's so much about us that the people who came here don't know, and doing NAGPRA, I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with NAGPRA, the Native American Graves and Protection and Repatriation Act. There's just so much that we don't even know about our ancestors that we're learning every day, and when we gain that knowledge, it makes us become more powerful as a people. And that's what I was saying about cultural, representation. That's very important to know who you are, and once you know who you are, you know where you're going.
Thanks. Any questions from our audience? Questions? Any questions? Yes, sir.
With the recent administration. I was wondering how are those some of those implications that he's putting on about native land possibly even going into it. How are you protecting yourself about that? Where are you from? Is there any kind of awareness going on with your tribe about like this is possibly can happen? It's happened before. I was just wondering about that.
I believe there's always possibilities for that, for that uncertainty for Native American people. NAGPRA and the Native American Religious Freedom Act is very important, and that's something to really understand. As far as the new administration, I don't want to, put words in anybody's mouth, but it's Native Americans have always had this fight, and we're not getting out of this fight. Native Americans, we're a warrior people, and even just to say we're a very gritty people. We're not going to back down. So Native Americans are always going to be in the fight, no matter what. This is our land. And we have a connection to it through art, through our ceremonies, through our spirit. We have a connection to this land, and it's beautiful.
I'd like to respond to this administration is just another in a long list of people who have harmed us irreparably. And we need to make sure that we're working, this is just on the political side, with our members of Congress, our senators, all of our state reps. It's going to take a whole village and a team here to stop this, especially with this big, beautiful bill that's going to end Medicaid for millions. It's going to affect our communities, our clinics, our hospitals. And that's just the beginning. I fear more in the future, but it's comprehensive. Yeah.
I'd like to respond also. I've been seeing that coming down the pike, and so like even when the pandemic hit, we rallied our forces in Cluck-One, and we started a bunch of vegetable seeds real early in the spring, and have ramped up our efforts in our community garden. Continue to teach subsistence skills, how to process fish. One thing that I've been led to recently is how to gather medicine from the wild, and just teaching those life skills in our community, processing fish, processing wild game, gathering, foraging, and sharing medicine within my community. Those are life skills that can make the difference between our survival. And it's hard to sometimes maintain our creative spirit when we're in survival mode. And so that's been a challenge for me, to balance that creative work with the necessities of life. And so I get up early in the morning between 5 and 6 and weave for a couple hours before I do anything else. And that's one way of me trying to hold things together within my household and within our community.
Taniba, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that with that question with us, our Chusca Mountains on the Navajo Nation is, I do believe that the government is trying to take complete claim of it. And if they did that, that means the sheep camps up there would be gone. Right now, not many people go to the sheep camps. We're one of the few families that still go. And I would say, maybe 5 families. However, what we can do is we can continue that life cycle, continue going up there, continue for me, for my family, for I can't give up. I've herded sheep when I was in my younger years, 13, and now I've been raising sheep for like 25 years now. And I could say, I'm tired. I don't want to do this no more, but I can't. And I really can't, because now they're a part of me. They're a part of me. And I'm a grandmother. Just in that film, my mother reminds me, you're a grandmother now. You're a woman, and you have teachings, and yeah. So we got to keep on doing what we're doing, even if it's hard. And there's something I need to also say is, I'm Mini Hogan clan, Hawathane and Shle, do Maideshkijni a Bashichin, Nake Dene Dashiche, do Tsena Bikin Dashinale. That is who I am. I'm Mini Hogan clan. My mother is Mini Hogan clan, and I'm born for Coyote Pass clan, and my paternal grandfathers are the Steep Rock clan. My maternal grandfathers are the Mexican clan.
Great. One more question? One last question? Anybody? You have a statement? Okay.
First, I'd like to thank the First Peoples, giving Indigenous people a voice, and the people willing to share. Because I feel like there were some generations that weren't willing to stand in front of a camera. But now we have people that are willing to share, and all you all are just being honest when you speak. And I might be partial, but I believe that Jim Thorpe is still one of the greatest athletes that was ever born. And I feel like I read a book on him. What he was doing was rampant going around. What might have been his problem was he was too true and too honest. He said what his name was. And other people were doing the same thing, but they were doing aliases. So I applaud the efforts, and I can't wait to see the film. And I'm just proud of the panel up here. I might be partial to that too.
Hey, thank you. All right, so that wraps us up for today. I want to thank our panelists for sharing their wisdom today. And if you have a question, I'm sure they're willing to talk to you afterwards. But thank you all for coming, and we'll see you all next year.